Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we're wrestling tonight with a monumental decision about the budget. So I thought I might take a little time here to reflect back on the last 6 years. As you probably know, this is my last term. So I want to look back and I want to talk to you about our budgets for the last 6 years. You know, when we first started, and I first started in here, the annual budget was about $40 billion. Today, we're looking at a $53 billion budget, which is about a 32% increase. So I started to think about what have we gained? What's happened over the last 5 or 6 years? You know, we've spent about $200 billion of taxpayer money over the last 5 years. And I wanted to go through a couple of things as to how that budget, what we've done for the people of Illinois. So when we started in 2020, there were about 3 million people on Medicaid. Today, there's 3.5 million people on Medicaid. So actually, we haven't done much. Our Medicaid spending in 2020 was right about $13 billion. Next year, we're going to spend almost $20 billion on Medicaid. Now let's talk about education, because we speak a lot about education in here. K through 12 enrollment in 2020 was about 1 million, almost 2 million kids. Today, we're at about 1.8 million. Yet, K through 12 spending out of the General Revenue Fund in 2020 was $8.8 billion. We're going to spend $10.3 billion next year. So our student enrollment has gone down and our spending has gone up over $2 billion. Same thing on higher education. 2020, we spent almost $1.9 billion. We're projected to spend $2.5 billion on higher education next year. So how do we get there? Sales tax revenue in 2020 was $8.5 billion. We're projecting sales tax revenue of $10.5 billion. We are taking $2 billion more out of the pockets of our taxpayers in just 5 years. Personal income tax revenues. In 2020, our personal income tax revenues were $19.7 billion. Next year, we're going to take $25.7 billion. That's $6 billion more out of the pockets of our taxpayers. Property tax is something we've never addressed in the 5-6 years I've been here. In 2020, we took $31.8 billion in property taxes. Next year, we're projected to take $36.6 billion. Additional $5 billion out of the taxpayers' pockets next year. So what's happened? What's happened in the state of Illinois? We've spent $200 billion. Well, companies are leaving. Companies are leaving Illinois. Headquarters for Caterpillar, Boeing, Citadel, Guggenheim Partners, all gone. Tyson Foods have closed down. Quaker Oats factory in Danville, going. Since the decennial, in 2020, the census, since 2020, they estimate that we've lost an additional 240,000 citizens since 2020. Unemployment. What's our $200 billion done for the unemployed in Illinois? Actually, nothing. Our unemployment is still one of the highest in the country. You know, the government is supposed to help people become independent. In Illinois, the number of people in the last 6 years dependent on the government has gone up. Almost 1 million people on Medicaid. Almost 100,000 more people are dependent upon us for food stamps compared to when we started. So as you debate and you think about voting for this budget, I ask you, what have we done for the people of Illinois in the last 5-6 years with the $200 billion that we've spent? If you think that this money has been well spent, if you think that what we're doing here is helping the people of Illinois, then I guess you're going to vote for this budget. We've watched another $1 billion is going to be taken out of our taxpayers' pockets next year. We've done everything we can over the last 5 years. Taxes, fees, we've done everything to get every dime we could out of this economy to pay for this wasteful spending that's really produced no positive results for the people of this state. So I'm of the opinion that the only thing left, the only place left that we haven't taken money from our taxpayers is in the income tax. So I'm going to predict that next year when you sit here and you're debating how to make this budget work, you're going to be talking about an income tax increase. So everybody that's listening, everybody out there that's listening, I want you to ask your candidate that's wanting you to vote for them in November, do you pledge not to vote for an increase in the income tax next year? Ask those candidates before you choose to vote for them, because I think the only way we're going to have any chance of balancing a budget next year is to go after your income tax, to raise the income tax on the people of Illinois. So think about that when you vote for this budget this year with no cuts, and in fact, $1 billion more in taxes, and really no way to balance this budget. So think about that, and I hope your constituents ask you to make that pledge when you're running for re-election in November. Will you pledge not to raise the income tax on the citizens of this state next year to balance your budget?